This feels like training camp. We're fresh off the field. My practice observations are done, and now we're doing a podcast.
Yeah, except it was in the 70s, not the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
And, other than that, it was pretty similar to a training camp practice.
Yeah, it was fun. And I like when we do these pods right after practice because it's like everything is really fresh in our minds.
Yes.
This is the Eagle Eye Podcast presented by Nissan. He's Reuben Frank. I'm Dave Zangaro. OTA practice 5 of 6 for the Eagles. We'll wrap it up on Friday. We're recording this on Thursday, so it's our final chance to see the team before mandatory camp next week.
Yeah, and really, I mean, it'll be very similar. There'll probably be a little longer practices, I would think. But what we'll see is going to be very similar to what we've been seeing. It's just the players have to be there. So that's going to be interesting.
Yeah, and we get to be there all 3 days.
We do. We'll be there Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and looking forward to it. I'm sure you won't be able to get to sleep Monday night.
No, I like these practices, though, and I like getting to see all of them.
Yeah, we talked about this, I think, a couple of weeks ago. When you're seeing one practice a week, you can think you see what you see, but it's hard to put it into context. When you see 3 in a row, you can kind of really line them up. And if somebody's practicing with the 3 straight weeks with the 2s, they're with the 2s.
Mm-hmm.
If you see it one day, it's hard to really figure out exactly what's happening. So it's going to be a valuable week.
Yeah, and it's an important caveat because we're about to get into practice observations from this session. And you have to remember, we're seeing 1/3 of the practices this week. So it's not to say that like one guy who had a great day today wasn't awful yesterday. Like we just don't know. So, but like when I used to cover high school sports, better show up when I show up.
Is that how it worked?
Yeah, like when back in the day, like when you'd have to create like the all county team. It's like you can go off the stats a little bit, but if that player's been awful and every time I show up, he's gonna have a hard time making that team.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't have that issue because I was at every track meet.
Oh, well, track's a little easier.
Yeah.
It's tough when you're covering like baseball. You can't get to every game.
Yeah. You can try.
I mean, you covered other sports.
I did, yeah.
Okay.
But I didn't do all county teams for other sports. Maybe basketball.
Mm-hmm.
We used to have a banquet every year at the London Shire. Remember the London Shire in Burlington City? It might still be there for all I know.
No.
It was a restaurant, like catering hall type thing. And we would literally have a banquet where we announced the first team, all county team, and they'd all come up and we'd give them a plaque. We'd announce coach of the year, team of the year for boys and girls basketball. And it was all like nobody knew who was on the team until that banquet. It was always a lot of fun.
That is fun. It's a lot of pressure. Like that you have now, like you vote for like the MVP and all pro. That's a ton. I know what I don't know what you're going through. I've never done that, but like I think back to like when I was in my early 20s, picking like the girls basketball all county team and how much it stressed me out.
Yeah, well, I definitely got more phone calls complaining for all county teams than all pro teams.
Yeah, the mother of like, I don't know.
Yeah, Lane Johnson's mom didn't call and complain that Panay Stewart was my first team right tackle. She may still though.
You don't know. Better get Lane back on the team this year. You'll get a call.
That's up to Lane.
All right. Let's go through some of the observations. Yeah. We'll start with attendance. These are voluntary. We know that, but the Eagles have pretty strong attendance in these sessions. A few of the guys were back from last week when we were there last Wednesday. CJ Uzama wasn't there. He was back. Keely Ringo wasn't there. He was back. Jake Elliott wasn't there. He was back. I don't imagine Jake needs a whole heck of a lot at these practices, but a few players were not at practice today. Devontae Smith, Lane Johnson, Josh Sweat, Darius Slay. CJ Gardner-Johnson, and James Bradbury.
I like he saved James Bradbury till last. I didn't think we'd see him. You think we'll see him Tuesday?
No.
I don't either.
No.
I don't think we'll ever see him again.
I mean, that sounds more ominous than it is. I mean, they're not going to off him like in life, but yeah.
No, I mean, I think it's pretty obvious that, they've told him, you're not going to be here, so there's no reason to be here, and we'll try to accommodate you somehow. But I still think there's a possibility of a trade, but I think we know now that everything they said in the winter about how he really wasn't that bad, and his whole history has been good year after a bad year, and we still believe in him. All that stuff. They're just trying to create some trade value there, which I'm not sure there is any.
Yeah, I mean,
but if you have any chance at all, there's no reason to cut him. You can get something for him.
Yeah, maybe like a late round pick swap
or a player.
Yeah, maybe
a not very good player. Yeah, I mean, maybe some team has a wide receiver that the Eagles just want to bring in. I don't know, but he won't be here. He won't play here. You don't bring in all these cornerbacks who have a lot going for them and then run James Bradbury out there again. It's not happening.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Any other names who weren't there? Any issue?
No, apparently Devontae was on WIP this afternoon talking about how he and Nick had talked and thought that he was it's probably best for him that he works out on his own. He doesn't need to be there.
Sure, whatever works for guys.
Yeah,
he'll be there next week.
He will. They all will. All but one. Who else? Anybody else who might not show up?
No, I mean, they don't have any like contract things.
No, they really don't. They've stayed on top of that. So, and we'll have a pod after the first practice, so that's good.
Yeah,
after Tuesday,
that'll be good. Injury notes: Sidney Brown still not participating, but
it looks good.
Yeah, it looks good. Runs around a little bit. He's been kind of standing in that deep safety post, like way back, watching practice, kind of taking those mental reps. A really good injury note: Nakobe Dean was back in 7-on-7s, back in team drills. Like that's a big step for him.
It is. We thought it might happen last week, but I think it was just important that at some point during these spring practices, he was back out there doing something because it was getting a little. I mean, he had said he was shooting for minicamp, so it's good he's out there. To me, he's one of the more intriguing stories on this team because I just don't know what to expect from him. So good to see him out there. It's going to be a huge training camp for him, and now that he'll be going in completely healthy. So, well, presumably he could get hurt next week, but yeah, I'm not going to jinx him. But yeah, he's had, and the thing I keep trying to emphasize with Nakobe is, look, we didn't see much from him, and I understand that, but I mean, he only played 5 games last year, and he got hurt in 2 of them. And the other 3, he was still kind of hurt from the first injury.
Yeah, they were like sandwiched in between.
Yeah. So he got hurt. He missed a couple games. He got, then he played a few games, but he wasn't 100%. Then he got hurt, and then he didn't play again, and had surgery. So I don't think it's fair to. Well, I'm not saying he's going to be a great player, but I don't think it's fair to just say he can't play or he's injury prone. We don't know yet. We haven't seen him healthy, so looking forward to seeing that.
Yeah, I am too. I mean, he was someone I think most of the city was like excited to see this kid play, and then you had to wait an entire year, and then now really we've kind of waited 2 years.
Yeah, but I haven't seen anything to tell me that he can't do it. I mean, he wasn't super productive when he did play, but if he wasn't healthy, what do you make of it? He's still a young guy. There's a reason they really liked him, and we'll see. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Anaya Smith had a helmet today, step in the right direction. And Zach McPherson, those 2 guys coming back from injuries, they're taking it slow with them. Have you seen any of the Anaya Smith vlog?
I have not.
He has been vlogging. I'd recommend for Eagles fans to check that out. It's fun because he's in the building and he gets this behind the scenes access. It's been fun kind of watching those a little bit.
Well, we're certainly not allowed in the building.
Yeah.
Penalty of death.
Yeah, but it shows off his personality a little bit. Him talking to some of the veterans in the locker room, him kind of showing that, like he mentioned that they're taking things slow with him for precautionary reasons, and he appreciates that. The rookies all took a trip to NFL Films. It showed him kind of going through there.
That's a cool place.
I've never been.
Really?
Yeah. How do I go?
Just take the Betsy Ross.
How do they? Well, who do I talk to let me in?
Should
I go with Ray?
Probably go with Ray.
Go Ray.
Yeah, you'll have to write him a letter since he doesn't have a cell phone. Just
Ray's on email.
get a notebook and typewriter, maybe.
Yeah, maybe I'll ask.
It's a really, really cool place. I've been there a few times for different things that they were taping and for some interviews. Yeah, it's interesting. They were doing this thing when I think it was when Doc retired, or went in the Hall of Fame, maybe, and they wanted me to talk about him for this piece they were doing. Well, everything, all the gear they have there is state of the art, and so the microphones pick up everything. So when they do interviews in the building, they have to turn off the air conditioning in that room, because otherwise you hear this humming in the documentary when it comes out. Well, the day I was in there, it was like 106 or something, and so they're asking me questions, and like when I'm off camera, they're throwing me a towel because like everyone was in there sweating, and I'm like, I'm gonna look like I'm just sweating in this interview. Like, no, you'll be fine. Somehow they made it work, but it's a really cool place. Has a great cafeteria.
Okay, yeah. I'll try to get over there one day.
Yeah.
The only other injury notes I had, Eli Ricks was practicing.
That was good.
And he might have been practicing the very next day after last Wednesday's practice, but we weren't there. We saw him pull up early in that practice, and he missed all the 7-on-7. So he was back out there. And then Jacob Harris, the receiver, who I kind of thought had some juice the last time we were there, was not practicing. So that was a shame for him.
And we don't know what that is.
Yeah, we don't know. Undisclosed. Let's move on to some depth chart stuff. Is that cool?
Yeah, let's do it.
We'll start with offense. Same offensive line from last week. No Lane Johnson, so without the starting right tackle. From left to right, Jordan Mailata, Landon Dickerson, Cam Jurgens, Tyler Steen, Mekhi Becton. Still notable to me that Becton is getting those right tackle reps.
Yeah, I like watching him. He's got some personality out there. He's an interesting guy. I didn't really know much about him. I still don't, but he was like he was running around and jumping up and chest bumping guys, and he's got a little juice.
I like that.
Yeah. He's big.
He is large. A lot of reclamation projects on this roster right now. We'll talk about that a little bit later when we get to the interviews that we had after practice.
5 reclamation projects.
Yeah, but there's a lot on this team, and I think it's important to temper expectations for a lot of these guys, but they're good stories, and Becton's a good one.
Yeah, and I don't even consider him kind of in the same class as some of the other guys because, he was a starter, I guess in a way. He's with a new team, but
he's with a new team, and he lasted through like the first, second, and third waves of free agency.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but I don't put him in the same class as some of the other real guys who he'll be in the league.
Mm-hmm.
Some of these guys, we just don't know if they'll be in the league. Like if they're not here, I'm not sure John Ross is going to get another opportunity. I don't know. Maybe he will. But anyway, that's semantics.
Yeah. Second team offensive line, Fred Johnson, Darian Kennard, Brett Toth, Matt Hennessy, and Aneem Denkwa. Hennessy's still the backup right guard. If there is anyone to push Tyler Steen, it's him.
And again, the fact that Steen's gotten all the reps in the 2 days we've been out there either means he's gotten all the reps 2 days or he's gotten all the reps every day. We'll know more next week, but I would anticipate we'll see him with the ones all week.
He's a starting right guard unless something happens.
I would think so.
I think it would have to be a combination of things. I think it would have to be he's getting overpowered and Matt Hennessy just clearly looks better.
Yeah, I don't anticipate that.
I don't either. Yeah, I think he's going to be the right guard this year.
Have you stopped to think about what a cool name Aneem Denkwa is?
It's a good name.
It's a really cool name.
He changed numbers if you care.
What's he wearing?
78 now.
78.
He went from 75 to 78.
Okay. I wonder why he did that.
Well, they had 2 75s because they have Teron Jackson on the defensive side.
Yeah.
And 78, they only had one initially, but then PJ Mustafa moved from 78 to 94.
when Sweat went from 94 to 19,
which is an awful number. All right, let's move on.
And all right, so I'm just going to say though that like we had this conversation about how that's an awful number, and I just don't get it. I don't understand it. But Dave's adamant about what an awful number that is. And then we're walking down to practice with Elliot Short Parks, and he's like, "Man, that's a terrible number. 19. Yeah. What's he doing?" So it's not just you, but
yeah, everyone is agreement.
Apparently, I'm in the minority here of not giving a flying whoop about what number Josh Sweat wears.
I was ready to move on. You brought it up.
I know.
Okay.
I'm
just wanted to point that out.
It's baffling to me. But anyway, what else we got?
You hate the discussion so much, so you're willing to talk about the discussion
to illustrate how much I hate it.
Okay. Cornerbacks today without Slay and Bradbury, so we have to remember that Isaiah Rodgers, Keely Ringo outside. Then here was the fun part: Tyler Hall at the nickel. Without C.J. Gardner-Johnson, they had Avonte Maddox back there at safety with Reed Blankenship.
Yeah, and he. It's interesting. They have more options certainly in the slot than at safety. There's no reason he can't play it. I mean, you've been saying that for a long time. There's no reason.
I've been rooting for the Avonte move to safety for 5 years now.
Yeah, this is his 6th year. I had to count it in my mind. Yeah, you just worry, obviously worry about the injuries, but
worry about the injuries if he's scooping ice cream, but you gotta, I mean, he has some position versatility.
2 scoops of strawberry shirt. Oh, my elbow. That's terrible. Yeah, he does. And, I mean, there's no reason he can't handle it if he's healthy.
What's your read on him playing 2 spots here?
Yours is read. I get it. Safety.
No, I didn't mean that. What's your read on that though? Because like some people will view it as a positive for him that he has his versatility, and some people will view it as a negative. Like, man, he should be entrenched in a spot.
No, I don't think versatility is ever a negative like that. I mean, sometimes it can mean they're trying to find a place for you, but it doesn't mean that with him. Like, it's not like he failed in the slot. So maybe we can salvage him as a safety. I just think right now the need is greater at safety. So we're seeing him out there, especially with CJ not practicing.
Tyler Hall's a guy we probably haven't talked about enough.
Yeah, let's talk about
He's a
Tyler
veteran
Hall.
in this league. He has experience in the nickel. He's getting first team reps, granted with players missing, but I don't think either of us had him on our 53-man rosters. I think we acknowledged the fact that he might end up on the team.
Yeah, I think we talked about that during practice today. I think he's a guy we should probably talk about more. I mean, he's a guy who started some games. He's been in the league 4 years, Falcons and Raiders. I don't know, undrafted out of Wyoming, 5'10", 190. They seem to like him a little bit.
Yeah, I think he's a nickel only in this league, but he 31 games, 6 starts, so not like extensive experience, but
he's only 25.
Yeah.
Another young D-back. They got a lot of them.
They do. They have some options in the secondary, but I thought that was notable that he was in there with the first team.
Sure.
Do you
have him on your 53 now?
No.
Close to it though.
Close to it. Yeah, I think he's one of the last cuts. That position is just stacked.
Yeah.
Right now, and you know what really illustrated that to me, and I have this in my notes from today, but Josh Jobe is working as a 3rd team outside corner. It wasn't that long ago he was like the top backup on a fully healthy team.
Right.
Like he was the top backup outside corner, and now he's working with the 3rd team in OTAs without Slay and Bradbury on the field.
Yeah.
Like that tells you just how far this team has come in adding at that position.
Yeah, and you're not. I mean, it's fun to watch their defensive backs,
and it's not like he's fallen off. He's probably better than he was when he was the top backup outside.
They're just
corner.
so deep there now.
Yeah,
and they had to. They had to do it, and they did it.
Give them credit. The linebackers. This is where it was fun because they started off with Devin White and Zach Bond again, still starting linebacker Zach Bond, but Nakobe Dean did mix in with the first team. So you had some reps with White and Dean. You had some reps with Dean and Bond.
Yeah. Yeah, and it was just good to see him out there. And I'm still not a believer in Zach Bond in that role.
Although I got to be honest with you, in 2 practices, he hasn't looked out of place off the ball.
Yeah, I mean, no pads, and
Yeah.
we'll see. I still just, it's hard for me to imagine him being a major contributor at that spot at off ball. We'll see. I could be wrong. He hasn't done much of it. He's done some of it. That's going to be really fun to watch, and as this thing goes on.
I still think Nakobe and Devin White are going to be the starters.
I do too.
But I also understand why you're getting some other guys reps there right now. And by the way, the second team linebackers were Oren Burks and Ben Sumarin. Third team, you had Trotter out there with Brennan Smith.
Yeah. I think of Oren Burks as more of an off-ball than Zach Bond. But I mean, they're thin at that position. They're still thin at that position. They have bodies there, but I mean, what do we really know? I mean, there's question marks with all these guys.
Yeah, sure.
So it's interesting, but it's a little precarious to me. I mean, it's like with each guy, you're like, well, if Devin White can turn back the clock a couple of years, if Zach Bond can handle these reps, if Nakobe can be healthy and be the player he was at Georgia. I mean, there's an if around every off-ball linebacker on this team.
Are they in a better or worse spot at linebacker right now than they were this time last year?
Well, this time last year, like Zach Cunningham wasn't even here yet.
You had Nicholas Morrow. You had Nakobe as kind of the top linebacker.
Yeah. I guess they're a little bit better.
I think they're in better shape right now.
I mean, because just Devin White's, I feel like even if he's just average, he's going to be an upgrade.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he'll probably be about average to a little better. Maybe I'm wrong. Usually when guys start declining, they don't reverse that, but he certainly could change the scenery. He wasn't awful last year. I mean, he was a functional player, but he just wasn't as good as he used to be. So
he got benched.
Yeah, we'll see. But I think it was also, I mean, they knew he wasn't going to be there, and well, we'll see. He's another one. I mean, there's so many guys like that on this team. Guys who are just, there's a lot of question marks on the team. Like if things go like the best possible scenario, they're in great shape. But that's not going to happen with all of them. It's just a lot of, we just don't knows.
Yeah, I think that's the nature of it when you have players like this that, like the reclamation type players, like they're not all going to work out. Most of them probably aren't going to work out.
You think they have too many of those type of guys?
I don't know. Yeah,
I worry that they do.
So it's not a problem if you have just too many of them in general. It's a problem if you have too many of them in spots where you're counting on them.
Well, I think
like you have 90 guys on this roster. You can have a bunch of reclamation projects.
Yeah. But like third outside receiver, I mean, they're counting on, I mean, obviously Devontae Parker was one of the guys. Paris Campbell, John Ross. I don't know if that's good enough.
Yeah, no, you're probably right about that. Second team defense, Quinyon Mitchell and Eli Ricks on the outside, Cooper DeJean in the slot, at least to start. We mentioned Oren Burks and Ben Sumarin, and then Mekhi Gardner, Tristan McCullum were the safeties. And then when they went into 11-on-11, not a lot of 11-on-11 work today, but the top defensive line without Josh Sweat was Brandon Graham on one edge, Bryce Huff on the other, and then the three interior guys were Jordan Davis, Milton Williams, and Jalen Carter.
Yep.
No surprises there. Want to get to what I thought was the biggest takeaway from this practice?
Yes, because I think it's mine as well.
Yeah, the defensive backs just making plays all over the field. I thought they won this day. Some big plays.
Yeah, I agree. And it was a bunch of different guys, some impressive stuff. Any particular one jump out at you?
Yeah, I think the Isaiah Rodgers pick six, it was on a backed up period. It was at the end of 7-on-7s. Nick Sirianni yelled out or megaphoned out a situation. It was 3rd and 6 from their backed up 5-yard line. It was just a nice read, a great break from Isaiah Rodgers.
It was Jalen.
It was Jalen Hurts, yeah. first team, and he broke on it, picked off the pass, took the other way for a touchdown. We've only seen 2 practices, but he does not look like a guy who missed a year of football.
It's really incredible, and we'll talk about our conversation with him. But I mean, I expected rust. I expected that we would see maybe some flashes, but he would look sluggish or just not comfortable. I mean, he didn't play or practice for 512 days. Like his 2022 season ended early. He got hurt like week 14, I think it was, or 15. And so for him to be playing like this is eye-opening. And look, you don't want to get carried away. No pads, 2 practices. But just the way he's moving, like you said, the way he's breaking on the ball, the way he's seeing things, his comfort level in the defense for a guy that wasn't even in a facility last year is really jumping out at me. He's been really, really good. And good for him for finding a way to report to mini camps after being out of the league for, essentially a year and a half. I mean, he was only suspended from, I guess he got suspended in August, but it's really impressive. And there's going to be some tough decisions at corner when it comes to opening day and the season and playing time. Yeah,
it's a good problem to have, but still got to solve a good problem.
Yeah, I mean, last year the problem was, we don't have any cornerbacks. Now it's like, we got too many.
I mean, last year, numbers-wise, they had corners. They kept 7 on their 53-man roster.
And Bradbury was coming
6,
off.
maybe.
They kept
6 or 7.
Right.
It might have been 7.
Bradbury was coming off a second-team All-Pro season, so we didn't really realize it was a problem until he started playing.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was a problem.
It was a big problem. Yeah. So that was the 1 interception. There were 4 interceptions in this practice. Another one came from lost my spot here.
Garner had one.
Mekhi Gardner, nice leaping play. It was an awful pass from Kenny Pickett. John Ross was kind of, and I was looking forward to seeing the deep ball to John Ross, and then it was just way underthrown. But a nice play by Mekhi Gardner, kind of leaping up and grabbing it. Gardner looks to be just a full-time safety now.
Yeah, and that's something that I think we've been campaigning for, maybe not campaigning for, but kind of believing in. I think that's the best place for him. And he looks comfortable out there.
So it gives him a better shot to make this roster.
Absolutely. And he's built like a safety. He just looks he looks the part, and we'll see how it goes. They could sure use him there.
Sean Stevens ended practice with a nice pick. He's a good story. We talked about him on an earlier pod. Came to rookie camp as a tryout guy, gets signed to the 90-man roster. Kind of a unique college career, played at a couple of Division II programs.
He was like between attending colleges and committing to colleges. I think he was like 7 different colleges at one point or another. But yeah, he didn't play for a while, but really productive player. And we saw why.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if he's going to be a factor, but showed some serious ball skills on that one.
Yeah. And the other interception was actually a linebacker. It was Zach Bond. It was a ball that got tipped, I believe, by Isaiah Rodgers, kind of hung up in the air. And then Bond bobbled it to himself, but it was good concentration. From the linebacker.
Yeah.
Especially for a linebacker who we think's his best position is on the line,
right? Rushing
the passer to show the ball skills is impressive.
Yeah. Yeah. So, it was good to see some playmaking. For me, the Rodgers one was just because he had such a good day Wednesday, and then he just built on it today. You're starting to see. I mean, I don't know what a year and a half layoff looks like, but I didn't think it would look like this.
Yeah, I agree with you there. The other nice play was not an interception. It was Keely Ringo undercut a deep ball down the left sideline for Paris Campbell. Probably should have picked it off. He was a little upset at himself, but it was a nice play. Just watching him find the ball in the air is nice to see.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about corners. I mean, he can play. I think he can play in this league.
Mm-hmm.
I know he's going to be behind a bunch of guys, but there's no doubt in my mind he can play.
I don't know how many guys he's behind. I mean, he might be the top backup corner on the outside.
He might be now. Yeah. But, I mean, eventually he's going to get past. I mean, he's probably behind Quignon and Isaiah and Slay.
I don't think he's behind. I don't know if he's behind Isaiah Rodgers. I know that right now Rodgers is working with the first team. I don't know how indicative that is
Well, we'll
of
see.
like
Well, possibly.
because Keeley to me is if you're not calling him a roster lock,
Roster rock.
a roster lock right now, I think he's really close. Like he's going to be on the team unless he's a trade candidate, which I don't think he is.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's a lock, whereas like Rodgers to me is not a stone cold roster lock.
I think he's awfully close. I think they're both. I think Keeley is a lock.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And for that
lock.
And for that reason,
Keeley.
I think he'd be the top guy outside if something ever happened to Slay or Mitchell.
Okay. We'll see. It's interesting.
Yeah. You don't agree with that?
I think Rodgers might be that guy, but it could be Keeley.
Okay.
We'll see.
It was a nice play by him. While we're on the corners, Quignon worked with the second team again. He's played on both sides now, which I think is important, but he just didn't see balls come his way today. So I don't have any like notes on him. Cooper DeJean was the nickel corner at first with the second team, but he got some reps outside. And unlike last week where it was like here, one period he's the nickel, the next period he's the outside. I saw back-to-back plays. He went from nickel to outside. So I think he's pretty locked in terms of the assignments.
And that tells you, I mean, that's unusual for a young guy just starting out for a team to ask that of him. I mean, it's hard enough to go back and forth, between series or groups of plays, but to do it within the same group of plays that means they really trust you to know everything and to be ready at different spots. That's a lot.
Yeah. He also got a first team rep.
One.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it's the first time we've seen a rookie with the first team this spring.
I guess it would be.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who'll be the next one?
I believe it'll be Quignon Mitchell.
Probably.
Nothing happened on that play. The ball didn't come to him, but he did have a pass breakup later in practice against Britton Covey, playing in the slot against Covey, kind of broke on the ball. It was a nice play. As far as the offensive players, remember how I said you better show up when I show up?
Yeah.
EJ Jenkins took that to heart.
How about that?
We've seen two practices.
He's
made two really nice plays. So last week on Wednesday, he caught a nice ball up the seam. Today, he kind of rose over Andre Sam, the rookie safety, and it was the offensive highlight of the day for sure.
Left sideline in traffic. Looked pretty athletic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a big body, kind of like almost in between a receiver and a tight end. Yeah. So you expect him to be able to catch the football, but hey, give credit. Yeah,
that was play of the day. Although I think the other tight end play was probably your favorite.
Alberto?
Yeah.
It was a nice grab.
It was.
Alberto went over Oren Burks to make a grab. This one was like on the sideline. I don't know what to make of Alberto. I think the front office really likes him. I don't know where the coaching staff is on him.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I was surprised they brought him back. I mean, he didn't do anything last year, but yeah, it was hard. I mean, came in the middle. When did they sign him?
It was not in the middle. He was like right before roster cuts because they traded for him.
Yeah, but I mean, the middle. It was during camp, is what I mean.
It was after camp. Really.
It was after camp. Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, we saw his athleticism on that one, and it was a nice catch. He's got great size
because he had that really big game in the final preseason game with Denver.
Right, that's right. Over 100 yards or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was probably the most impressive rep we've seen from him.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we didn't really see him last year because, he played a little bit.
Yeah, we didn't see him in training camp.
Yeah. Do you know how to spell his name without looking it up?
Yeah.
You're nuts.
You can't do it?
OKWUEGBUNAM.
It's tough. I have to type it. But you were close.
All right.
I saw John Ross on the field for the first time. Made some catches, had a nice nifty catch that was behind him.
He did.
Like I mentioned, I wish that deep ball would have made it to him.
Right.
But, I looked like a guy who's fine. Like didn't show signs of rust, but it's really early, and he better look fast in shorts.
Yeah, that's true.
I think that's all I had from my notes today. Anything else that I left out? I mentioned that A.J. Brown just got a heavy workload, which makes sense in a practice with no Devontae Smith. Jalen Hurts is going to throw the ball to the guy you trust, and that's A.J. Brown. Worked out of the slot more.
I don't really care if somebody's not there, but it's good to see AJ there.
Mm-hmm.
I think you're going to get Jalen better work than if he doesn't have Devontae or AJ.
Yeah. Although maybe Jalen needs to learn to throw to other people and trust other people at times.
That's fair.
So, yeah. But he has no choice when one of them's not there.
Yeah.
So, did you like my stupid observation of the day?
About the screen?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How big? I didn't want to try to guess because I wasn't close enough to it. How big do you think that screen was?
I'm bad at that stuff.
It was huge.
Yeah, it's huge.
Minimum 75-inch screen?
I'm
It looked big from pretty far away.
Yeah, I was going to say, well, you measure like diagonally, right?
Yeah.
So maybe, I don't know, like 100.
Yeah. Anyway, there was a screen at practice with like a live stream from the camera. Never seen that.
Yeah. I've never seen that either.
Okay. Anything else for practice today?
That was a beautiful day out there.
It was lovely. It was, if we could package up this weather, take it to the training camp, I'd be on board.
Yeah.
I wore pants today.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
You're the only one, though.
See, everyone else was just assuming it was going to be a hot day.
Well, I wear shorts like when it's over like 25.
Mm-hmm. These pants are very thin pants.
Okay.
They're a thin pant. Good thin material.
I thought we've spoken about Dave's pants.
Yeah. We'll take a break and we'll have plenty more on the other side.
You deserve a car that thrills you, a car that puts goosebumps on your goosebumps. At Nissan, we got everything from turbocharged SUVs to 100% electric vehicles that'll make your heart beat faster. Experience the thrill for yourself and shop your local Nissan store and nissanusa.com today.
Celebrity cook Steve Martorano brings his Italian-American cooking back home to Philly. Enjoy Martorano's Prime at Rivers Casino and Steve's famous meatballs with Sunday gravy, prime steaks, and more. Make reservations at Martorano's Prime on Open Table. I could use some meatballs. I'm hungry right now. These practices at 12:50 in the afternoon, we're talking about it. Like sometimes you just you kind of forget to eat.
Yeah.
And then it's like we're recording this. It's almost 5 o'clock and you're starting to feel a little bit.
Yeah. And I don't like to eat before practice. I just don't like to go out there feeling like weighed down.
Okay.
So I didn't eat.
You're not playing in these practices, you know.
No, I understand that.
Okay.
But, just being out there, you're outside. I don't know, just like feeling nimble.
Had a good discussion with some people today.
Yeah.
That I was going to say on the sideline. I'm not.
I thought we were talking about.
You got excited to actually talk about what we're going to talk about.
Who are you?
I was going to say just on the sideline, just about when the football comes to you.
Right.
Get out of the way.
Oh yeah.
No good can come.
No.
You know, because like when I was younger, the football would come and I'd be like, I'm going to burn this one back and show all these people I have an arm. And you do that, no one cares. But if the ball slips out of it's an NFL football, it's fully inflated. Tom Brady's not here. It's hard to throw sometimes. There's a little perspiration, hot day, the ball slips, everyone makes fun of you. It's not worth it.
Yeah, that's about. I think you just, yeah.
Look, if the ball's going to hit me in the face, I will stop it.
With your face.
No, I'll catch it.
Yeah, I was taught very early on in my sports writing career, just ignore the ball. If you're at a basketball game and it goes out of bounds, just ignore it.
There was one time, though, I was on the sideline by myself and the ball rolled to me. I'm the only one there. So I pick it up and the ball boy is running in and he stops like 20 yards away from me, 25 yards away from me. In my head, I'm like, buddy, keep coming here.
Yeah.
Like, I haven't thrown a football in like a year. Like, I don't know. Burned it in there. No big deal. No one cared. All right, let's get to the conversations with some players after practice. The players we spoke with in order at the auditorium were Paris Campbell, John Ross, Isaiah Rodgers, Jordan Davis, Nolan Smith. So do you want to go in order or do you want to start with the most intriguing?
Let's just go in order.
Go in order. Paris Campbell. It was good to talk to Paris Campbell. Said he came to Philly in large part because of the familiarity with the coaching staff, Nick Sirianni at the top of that list, but also Kevin Patullo, Jason Michael on staff from when he was in Indy several years ago.
Yeah, and he's very aware of how disappointing his career's been. He was very open about that, and he said his career's been one of ups and downs, and he basically has been mainly downs. And he kind of said, the downs are what I really dwell on, not the ups. He hasn't had a good career as a second-round pick, and I don't know how many more chances he'll get, and I'm sure that's how he feels. So it's a big season for him, and it's a big opportunity. I liked what he said. He seemed to have a really kind of honest assessment of where he is in his career and what he's got to do.
Yeah, and it's got to be tough from like a human perspective, and it's really the other guy we're going to talk about next with John Ross, like just disappointing careers, hasn't gone the way you planned. And the frustrating thing for both of them is like, could they have done more in their careers? Yeah, probably. But there's also this feeling of like the injuries, like, and sometimes you just can't avoid that.
Yeah. Yeah. And you couldn't ask for a better opportunity. I mean, they just don't have a third outside receiver.
And it's funny because he was asked about coming to a team with AJ and Devontae from the perspective of like, why would you go there? They had those guys. I mean, I don't think anyone's going to sign Paris Campbell to be their top receiver. I don't know if there's many other situations better than coming into an offense and potentially being the third wideout.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. So I still don't think he'll be that, but I liked what he said.
He's got a shot at it, though.
He does.
And I don't know if he has that shot many other places.
No, I agree. I also could see him winning the job. I mean, his career has been good training camps, good preseason games, and then the season starts and it just doesn't happen.
Yeah, which is why I think there's going to be the pump the brakes on Paris Campbell all the way through the summer.
He's going to have a great training camp. He'll make the team, and then Packers will have one catch for 6 yards. And look, I'm not trying to be too negative, but that's been his pattern. I think he'll make the team. I don't know if he'll survive the season, but maybe he'll look. Any of these guys could turn their careers around. He's certainly got some tools. He's fast. We'll see. I still think that WR3 is not here right now.
Yeah, and we've talked about that, and I'm in agreement with you. But of the guys who are in the building, I think he is in the lead.
Yeah. I think Joseph Nagata's in the mix.
Okay.
But I just can't see him winning it. We'll see.
The next guy we talked to is John Ross.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, I mean, from a very selfish perspective, as reporters who like good quotes, wouldn't mind John Ross making this football team.
You like a good story, and the guy said, the day I retired, I knew I made a mistake. That's a money quote right there. Mm-hmm. He was very honest with us. He's another one who's had just a really disappointing career as a top 10 pick. He's been out of football. He talked about, it wasn't specific, but he talked about when he retired, he was not in a good place. And what do you say?
A little later, he did admit that the injuries and his career path kind of led to that a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, he alluded to some pretty serious stuff and said he's in a much better place now. And he talked about how his son helped him get there. His son, Kyrie, spelled like Kyrie Irving. And he's 7. Mm-hmm. He said he's 7 now.
Believes in space.
The only Kyrie that believes in outer space. That's good. Yeah. So, it's funny how like you think of John Ross as just this first round bust. And then I've never spoken to him. I've never heard him interviewed, but then you get to know him a little. You talk to him, you ask him a couple questions, and he becomes a lot more human. And you don't look at him as a bust. You look at him as a really good story and a guy with some persistence and some determination who's, trying to, salvage his career. And it becomes a much more real, like when you get to spend some time with him.
Yeah. And I think for a lot of former first round picks, it'd be pretty humbling to have to try out to make a football team. But he talked about just how happy he was to have that opportunity. And you could sense that it was legitimate. And he feels that. And he understands the situation he's in, that like teams weren't knocking down the door for this dude who had a disappointing career and then retired. Like, it wasn't like he had other options. You have to do it. And
didn't he say he didn't have any other?
Yeah. And he mentioned that, like first round picks will kind of say that when you got to try out for a team, you're done. He said, until you're in that position, and it's what you have to do.
Yeah.
So I give him credit for that.
I loved his outlook.
Yeah. He said it kind of brought him closer to football in a weird way, being away from it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think realistically, is John Ross going to help this football team? Is he going to make this football team? Probably not, but it's the time of year we can talk about a cool story.
Yeah, exactly. And he sure is one. And I have new respect for him after the chat we had with him.
And I also got to ask him about his record getting broken at the combine. That was cool.
Yeah, he had a good answer.
Yeah, he basically said, like, of course, you never want to see your record get broken, but he broke someone's record. He held it for 7 years.
Yeah.
He's happy for Xavier Worthy. And he said he's not like on social media. He hasn't done interviews. So he hasn't talked about it since it happened. So it was cool for him to get a chance to congratulate Xavier Worthy. And
interesting guy. John
yeah,
Ross.
certainly.
Yeah.
After that, talking about interesting stories. Today was interesting story day down at the NovaCare complex. Isaiah Rodgers, who we talked about earlier, he's been really good in the 2 practices we've seen from him, but I talked a little bit about being away from football for the year.
Yeah, and he said, well, actually, I had asked Paris Campbell about him because they were teammates with the Colts, and he told us the exact same story that Isaiah told us. He kind of created a routine at home in Tampa that was identical to what he would be doing if he was in a NovaCare. So, he would study film. Tuesday was his off day. Sunday he would do cardio because it was replicating a game.
He was really connecting with his teammates. He was connect. He had Nick Siri.
No, so I thought that was pretty cool. And he said, that kind of helped me. Just having that structure really helped me day to day. Just having a routine. Man, I loved his attitude. Just really positive. He said, I messed up. I broke a rule. He wasn't whining, complaining. I mean, I would have in that situation. I think it's hypocritical for the league to do this kind of stuff, but he did break a rule, and he paid a very, very strong price. But he's not feeling sorry for himself. I mean, he lost a lot of money too, and he's come in and he's done a nice job. And like I said before, I mean, certainly doesn't look rusty. He's out there running around. I mean, if you watch practice and you had to pick a guy they have a few guys that didn't play last year, but you had to pick out the cornerback that didn't play last year, you'd be able to do it. He looks great.
He mentioned that the Eagles believing in him, signing him last year, knowing that the suspension was coming, meant a lot to him. For the Eagles, I mean, they were figuring why not.
Yeah.
We'll see what this kid has. He's shown some promise. Why the Colts cut him? I guess make an example. I don't know. Up and coming team, they probably could use Isaiah Rodgers.
Yeah, I was wondering about that. I mean, and they cut him out like immediately, like within an hour of the suspension being announced. They might have had a heads up about it, but it's not. I mean, it's not. He didn't commit a crime. Teams have kept guys for much worse, who've done much worse.
This team is
yeah. So I have been wondering about that. And it's something I'd like to ask him at some point. But I think the Eagles found themselves a guy who might be able to help them.
Yeah, might be. Anything else from Isaiah Rodgers?
No, I think something that is probably true for all these guys, and those 3 guys are all kind of the reclamation guys. They're all accountable. Like, none of them were making excuses for why their career took the turn it took, whether it was lack of production or the suspension or whatever. They're all accountable. They all just kind of, put it on themselves. And that was good to hear.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. Next guy up was Jordan Davis, who's now a slim 350 pounds.
He does look good.
He looks good. And it's funny because he's listed lighter than that, right? He's listed at 336. When do you think the last time he was 336 was?
Like senior year in middle school.
Yeah, they listed him at 336. He said he was above 350. He didn't say how far above that he was last year. He's 350 now, which is crazy to say that a 350-pound dude looks slim.
Yeah.
But he looks slimmer.
He does look good. And, he's tried to do this before, though. He's had, I'm getting in great shape.
I mean, from day one, when they drafted him, it was a topic of conversation.
Yeah. When he missed some time, I guess his rookie year, he talked about how he got into great shape during that period. But he's got to keep it off, and he's got to, the whole thing with Jordan Davis is it's got to be 18 weeks of the improvements, whether it's his play, his consistency, his snap counts, his weight, his conditioning. It's not enough to do it for a month or for 6 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So,
especially after last year, because we saw early in the year he looked great, and then it clearly tapered off. So
yeah. But again, he was accountable, and he knows what he has to do. Whether he can do it, I don't know.
He cut out juice.
Yeah.
Big Arizona fan.
Big Arizona guy.
Yeah. I get that.
Yeah.
Like the cans, the 99-cent Arizona cans.
Yeah.
You're not an iced tea guy, like a canned iced tea guy, but
I'm not an iced tea guy.
Not a canned iced tea.
It's got to be fresh brewed.
Yeah.
Unsweetened, unflavored, no lemon.
Yeah. Which I'm saying you wouldn't like Arizona.
No, it's okay, but yeah, I don't drink it. But it's out of all the like bottled or canned iced teas, it's probably one of the better ones.
What's your favorite kind of juice?
Favorite kind of juice? Probably orange.
Okay.
Yeah.
Pulp or no pulp?
Well, medium pulp.
Medium pulp.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'll tell you what, Wawa, I don't go into Wawa's just because the parking lots scare the hell out of me.
I get that.
But man, they have the best orange juice. Like their orange juice, it's like drinking a milkshake. It's like drinking an orange milkshake.
Where do you get the orange juice? Like in the bottle, or is it like a
No, it's
button?
in like the plastic.
You hit a button?
No, in the plastic.
Oh, in a tub.
It's like a bottle.
I got
but a plastic. Yeah, it's
I got you.
Usually in the bottom, in the refrigerated.
Yeah. Like an apple juice?
I like apple juice. I don't really drink it that much.
Tell you what, they're doing crazy things with the apple juices now. It's like apple, cran, mango, lime.
Really?
Like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, it might be a little much for me. I like just a plain apple juice.
Jordan said he's mostly just drinking water.
I got suspended in kindergarten for not drinking tomato juice.
I'm with you on that. I'd take a stand.
Tomato juice is nasty.
I agree with you.
And so we couldn't go out.
I wish I liked tomato juice because I like the idea of like, you ever see like at a brunch, they have like a Bloody Mary bar and you get to like put all the stuff.
Right.
I like all that stuff.
Yeah.
Keep the tomato away from
you. You just do all the stuff and just put it in a glass.
I'm just eating shrimp cocktail.
Yeah.
Liquor.
But I in kindergarten, we couldn't go out to recess until we drank like this little thing of tomato juice. And I wouldn't do it. I took a stand, Dave.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah.
You got to fight injustice everywhere. And
I sat in that room by myself, watching all the kids through the window out there playing and laughing. And
I have to tell you a preschool story. So I used to be a really heavy sleeper and a snorer until I had my tonsils removed when I was like 6 or 7.
Okay.
A really heavy snorer. So I was in preschool and I would wake all the other kids up because I was such a heavy snorer.
Oh, wow. During nap time.
Yeah, we'd have nap time. And then this is like such a 90s thing. You couldn't do it anymore. The teachers or like the watchers of us would leave me in the room sleeping and everyone else would go outside and play. So imagine being like a 5-year-old kid, 4 or 5-year-old kid. You wake up, you're all alone. You look out the window and every friend you have is playing without you. Nightmare scenario.
Kind of the story of my life.
Yeah.
So I had for me it was tomato juice. For you it was
snoring.
Sleeping.
Yeah. Last guy we talked to was Nolan Smith.
I don't think I have any other nursery school stories.
It's tough to remember a lot.
Yeah. Don't.
All your memories are in black and white. Sorry. That was a good one. Nolan Smith.
Yeah.
Says his shoulder's fine.
He showed up.
Raised it up.
Showed us. Yeah.
I
asked him if he got it scoped. He said no.
Okay.
I don't know if I believe that.
I don't believe that. I don't know. He said, like, paraphrasing, but like not everyone comes in this league and dominates right away. He admitted the pace of the game was quicker for him. And that was a big adjustment. He's a guy who we haven't probably talked about enough. I really don't know what to expect from him in year 2, but the Eagles clearly need something out of him.
Yeah, they do. I mean, Jalix Hunt certainly isn't ready. Brandon Graham is just going to be a very deep role player. Well, he's taking reps with the ones today. Josh Sweat's now wearing 19, so his career's just about over. And, Reddick is gone. Bryce Huff's had one good year. So there's a lot of questions at that position about generating pass rush. And Nolan Smith, he said all the right stuff today. I just don't know. It was a really disappointing season for him. And edge rushers come into the league now and get 6 or 8 sacks. And I guess he had one. I think it was on a play where he wasn't blocked. But yeah, I'm a little concerned about him. And
yeah,
they really need him.
I don't know if concerned is the word, but
What is it? What's the word? Since you don't like my word, what's your better word?
I think concerned is probably a little too strong.
Concerned.
Okay.
I'm not alarmed.
Yeah.
I'm not terrified. They're having a lot of fun over there. What is going on? Is there like a party in here today?
I don't know. I need you to blinders on, though. We're doing a podcast here.
I got you. I'm back.
I don't know what to expect from him. And the tricky thing, and we've talked about this with a few guys, is like, I don't know if there's anything in spring or summer that he can do to like get me to the point where I'm like, he's ready to be a contributor. Because I thought he had a really good summer as a rookie.
Yeah. No, that's true. I mean, you'd like to see him maybe getting some snaps with the ones. That might be a good sign. We'll see how that goes. I would think he would at some point. Maybe not, but
he'll probably rotate a little bit. That's another thing we haven't talked about. Maybe it's a topic for a future show. The Eagles have had these like heavy rotations on the line in recent years. Fangio's rotations haven't been quite as even. His starters play a lot.
Yeah.
Like last year, Christian Wilkins was the top defensive tackle. He played like 80% of their snaps.
Yeah, that's a lot. I asked Jordan Davis about, because he's going to have to, and he said it. He said, I'm going to have to play a lot more. And I asked him about it. He said he's ready. I'm really curious what that number is going to be without Fletch. Fletch, that's a lot of snaps. Fletch played the most snaps of all their defensive linemen last year and then retired. So there's a lot of snaps to eat up on the interior of that D line.
Yeah.
I don't know if
I think like the biggest jump will probably be Jalen Carter.
Yeah.
He'll probably need to fill that Fletcher role, but Jordan's going to have to play more too.
Yeah.
Same with Milton.
Yep.
That was good. I thought it was a fun talk to those guys today.
Yeah, it was. I enjoyed it. I think you like, I like watching practice, but I really like hearing these guys' stories, especially guys we've never talked to. Like, we 3 of the guys today we'd never spoken to before. So I really enjoy those conversations.
Sure. My last topic here of the day, Jalen Waddle got paid.
Yeah, what did he get?
3-year deal, $84.75 million with over $75 million guaranteed.
Wow.
Huge deal. More than Devontae. Eagles got in there with Devontae Smith contract, and it was wise because we've seen kind of the floodgates open at that position after that.
Yeah. That's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money. And look, Jalen Waddle's very good. I'm not saying he doesn't deserve it, but there's a reason the Eagles try to beat the market. They don't want to be playing catch up like these other teams have to do.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, the Cowboys, like with every contract, CeeDee Lamb is still not signed. Like, what are they doing?
Yeah, I don't really know what they're doing down there.
It's like the opposite plan of the Eagles. Like the Eagles get ahead of these things. And look, I'm not saying the Cowboys aren't good, and they've certainly handled some things very well, but like sign your good players.
Yeah.
Don't lose your good players.
Yeah. Yeah, it's an odd way of doing things, but their GM's a genius, so.
Is he?
Jerry?
Jera. That's all I have. You?
Can I give us a little shout out?
Yeah, sure.
We don't really do shout outs, but one of my best friends wrote a song, Chris Archibald, and it got sold to Netflix for a series called Tires.
Oh, I was watching that today, actually.
Today?
Yeah.
Really? What, during practice?
No, I woke up early, ate some breakfast, watched that show.
What's waking up early for you?
Today?
Yeah.
6:30.
Okay. Yeah, so the theme song is him.
Okay, I'll have to give a good listen to the theme song.
It's a song called Familiar, and his band is Illinois, but it's under a different band name of Archua. But yeah, he actually just played Bottle Rock Fest with a band called Mondo Cosmo. They played on the main stage at Bottle Rock before Pearl Jam, which is pretty cool. So there's a lot of good things happening for him. I'm very proud of him. He's a brilliant songwriter, great musician, and yeah,
cool.
So Tires. I saw a few minutes of it. It looked hilarious.
Yeah, it's a jokey show, like jokes after jokes.
Yeah, I like that. I like jokes.
Yeah, simple premise.
And it's like a
short episodes.
A Valley Forge tire shop, like tire sales and repair. And
yeah. Shane Gillis is like I think creator of it.
Okay.
Yeah. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, good.
Simple, easy watch. Sometimes I need an easy watch of a show, like 22-minute episodes. You can kind of just get through a couple.
I think at 6:30 in the morning, you don't want anything too.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm not sitting
taxing,
down to
trying to follow along the plot like these gladiators from 1533.
Yeah, I don't want that.
Taking over the castle, but here comes I can't follow that.
I was eating some oatmeal with fresh strawberry season.
You ever put a little brown sugar on your oatmeal?
I did a little honey today.
A little honey?
Yeah.
Like a little bit of spoonful of brown sugar.
I get that.
Oatmeal.
I get that. I do want to mention something. We haven't talked about this yet, but we created an email address.
We did.
So you guys want to email us questions? Like, we're still going to do our normal mailbags every once in a while, and we'll solicit questions on.
We'll be doing some soon
on social media. We will be, because summer is right around the corner. But eagleeye@nbcuni.com. If you're watching on YouTube right now, there's that QR code. You can go ahead and scan that. It'll set you up with it. And send us some questions when we have some downtime, when we want to fill the end of an episode. We'll answer some here and there. So feel free to send questions, comments.
Yeah,
they'll come to me and we'll read them.
Yeah, anything you want to tell us? You like Dave and you hate me? That's fine. Just tell us.
Yeah, we've already got a few of those.
I'm sure.
All right, we'll leave that up on the screen for a few more seconds just so you can get it. But we also want to mention, please rate and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. If you're watching on YouTube, please click the like button, subscribe there as well. Next week, mandatory minicamp will be there Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. It means a pod after Tuesday's session. Rube, any final words?
No, can't wait till next week.
Yeah, I'm very excited. That's it for Eagle Eye Podcast presented by Nissan. For Reuben Frank, I'm Dave Zangaro. We'll talk to you next week.